So every enemy that you kill, if I kill Dave's soldiers, I'm going to get 2 points for each of those. And if I cause Dave's soldiers to panic and run away, I get 1 point for each of those. So that's the victory points. As I move forward, so I can move. Now my second option is to fire. Firing is a little bit more tricky to understand, but it's not difficult at all. The fire, you have to play a fire card. Now up here it says fire and fire power. The fire power is what your men, in order to fire, have to come up with to use this card. This fire power is 7. So I look at the relative range. These guys are at relative range 1. You look here, 1, 0, added together is 1. So I look at the 1 column. He gives me nothing. He gives me 1 point. Let's see here. This guy over here, he gives me 3 points. So I'm at 4. And this guy gives me 1. That's 5. So I've got 5 firepower that I can shoot at Davey with this group. But unfortunately, I need 7 to trigger this card. But let's say that let's say these guys are also at 1. So now I'm up to relative range 2. So I look here, 0, 1, 4. So I'm at 5, 6. I'm almost there. I still can't play this card. All right, let's cheat. Let's move this up to a 2. So now we're at relative range 3. 2 and 1 is 3. So I look at the third column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't matter if I have more than, as long as I meet the bare minimum. So I have enough firepower now to fire this card. So I play this card. I make sure I got the firepower, which is a 7. So that means I'm going to throw 3 points of fire at Dave's men. You subtract any terrain modifier. Right now he's in open terrain, so that's a 0. But if he was in brush, it'd be a -1, so it'd be a 2 that I'm shooting at him instead of a 3. If it was woods, it's -2, so I'd only be shooting a 1 at him. Yada yada yada. Now, before I finally determine what happens, Dave has an opportunity to play 1 card from his hand, and the card that he was going to want to play is a conceal card. Now, this conceal is a -1, so he would play this right then. And my firepower attack would be, instead of a 3, it'd be -1, it would be a 2. Except, this is a chance to bring up nationalities. This specific card has a nationality thing on the side, and this card could only be used by the Russians and the Japanese. So he couldn't even play this card. But let's pretend like that wasn't there, he could. But if there's a card in your hand he can't play, it's just a dead card, and you have to just use it for a discard. So let's say that he could use this. So that's a -1. So I'm shooting at Davey right now with a 3, -1 for the conceal, so it's a 2. So I'm shooting Davey with a 2. So what we do is, we take this deck of cards, and we look at the random number. So we go 1, 2, 3. The order of the men's important, it always stays the same. I'm shooting at this guy. So his KIA number is an 8, and to make him, his morale is a 3. So if I get, the key is I want to get a 3 or better. Now the way that works is I already have a 2, so I flip over the top card and I take the top right number, which is a 0, which is nothing. So 2 plus 0 is a 2, no effect to this guy. Good job, Davey. 2 plus 1 is a 3, so I broke this guy. I didn't roll, but I flipped. My 2 plus 1 is a 3. If you look, his morale is a 3, so this guy is now going to break, so Davey has to knock him. Now I go to this assistant squad leader back here. His morale is a 4, so 2 plus 2 is a 4. I got lucky again, and I have broke this guy. So now Davey has broken men on his team. I didn't kill anybody. If I would have got an 8, I would have killed him. An 8, there's only a few cards in the whole deck that are 6s. So I'd have to get a 6 plus 2 is an 8, and that is exactly, which means I may not kill him. I may just wound him, and that's another fiddly part of the game that's not complicated, but it's kind of hard to explain. I'll just make a little sidebar here. On the bottom here you have random position numbers. Every card has this bottom of the card thing. What it means is you can have all your men in your group, and it determines which guy randomly is affected on certain cards. So if I had a 4-man group like I do here, I would look at the bottom of this card. I go to the 4 column where it says 4C there, and then it says the number 1 there. So the first guy would be the guy that's randomly affected. The 7W column is for the rolling exact for killing someone. Let's say I got the 8 to kill that squad leader back there. Then I look at the, because I did it exactly, his exact kill number, I'd have to look at the 7W. If the position, I'm sorry, if the morale, if his morale is exactly equal to the kill number, or the 7W number, so his morale for that guy is actually a 4, so it works perfect, I guess. The 7W says 4. Which means that guy wouldn't have died. He would have got a wound marker instead, and I have wound markers over there in my box of stuff. And a wounded guy's got some negative effects, but he's not dead. And every time you finish a deck, he might bleed out. You have to flip, if the card you flip is black, these top right numbers are black or red. If it's black, he lives. If it's red, he dies. So, anyway, so that was my fire effect on Dave. Which brings up another thing you can do on your turn. You can rally troops. So on Davey's turn, for that center group, he might want to play this card, Rally 3. He can rally 2 of his men, no problem, with a Rally 3. He can rally up to 3 guys. So he plays that, he flips these guys over into this, and like this. That's his whole turn. If you rally, that's all you do for that group. But let's pretend like he didn't do that. Now these guys are more susceptible to being killed. If I can now fire at this group, at that same group, you'll notice this red column here, his panic number over here is a 4. And his KIA number is +1. So now to kill him, it's only needed a 7 instead of an 8. And his panic is a 4. So when I'm flipping the cards, if I get a 4 or more, he's going to run off the battlefield. If I get a 7 or more, it's going to kill him. So it's, once a guy is broken, it's a lot easier to run them away. Alright, so that's how the firing works. So you can move, you can fire. There's some other cards in here, such as the hero card. The hero card you can play at any time to rally somebody, or you can play that to double the firepower of one guy. So if you play, a good guy to play this on is the BAR guy. So if I played this on the BAR guy, and let's say we're at relative range 4, now he can muster 8 points just by himself to play this card. Alright, and the cool thing is you can play multiple fire cards on one group for your turn. This group wants to fire as long as they can reach the total of all the firepower. So this 7, 8, 9. Let's throw this one in here. That's a 17. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that one. That's a powerful card. 7, 8, 9, and let's say this one. I doubt I can get all these together, but if I could muster 11, 12, 13, and 7, if I could get those all together, then I can 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can throw 10 points of fire at each dude. Which is possible, but pretty deadly. Now, once you get to relative range 5 to each other, which means you're right next to each other, some other options are going to happen in the game. But especially the firepower. At relative range 5, your firepower is getting pretty powerful. Here's a 5, 5, 3, 3. Look at that machine gun over there. If you're at a, it's a 9. So firepower gets pretty powerful when you're right next to each other. Plus, when you're right next to each other, there's a possibility of infiltrating. You can attempt to infiltrate one man into a group that's 5. If you're successful, you mark them with an infiltration marker. It's not too complicated. And once you're infiltrated, you can use double firepower one time, or you can even try to sneak into that group to do close combat. And there's a procedure for that. If you close combat, then you each flip a card, and whoever gets the higher number wins. And obviously the guy that is infiltrating that's not broken is going to have a much higher flip number. His close combat number is a 3, his is a 5, but once you if you flip them, it's there's a lot. He's broken, so it's much worse. -4 to his close combat number. So close combat can be deadly, just like in ASL. Alright, so I think I more or less covered it. There's other stuff that you're going to have to look up, like wire, how wire works. You can play that on an opponent. Smoke, if you have a good ordered squad leader. This is the basic game. There's also tanks and infantry guns and all other kinds of stuff. This is the basic way that most guys play. I mean, as you learn the game, you can add all the other stuff, but it's a lot of fun. So I think that's about everything you need to know as far as the rules, just to get started. Alright, so I've given you a brief overview of how to play the game. Like I said, you can't just go buy this version of the game. You have to buy the old version of the game, which is going to be around $100 plus or minus on eBay because it's out of print. Now, this is a game that I printed out myself, and I made the counters myself, and I printed out the rules myself. I own the original game, so I don't feel like there's any possible issues ethically with that at all. So what I did was, on Board Game Geek, there's the file for all these cards is on Board Game Geek. So I took the file, and then I found a Chinese printer called Arts Cow, and I sent them all the things, and they printed out these decks of cards. And then I just printed these out myself, the counters, and I glued it. And it took a lot of time. It took a couple nights of watching TV and sitting there and gluing and cutting and things. But it's a beautiful game once you're all done. And I think I probably have, between printing and all that, probably $40–50 in the printing. There's some good coupons that you can get. They got some deals on shipping and things. You just have to watch for coupon codes. But this game is a lot of fun. It's different than ASL because there's a lot of chaos. It's kind of like Combat Commander in that way, but it's chaotic because you don't know what's happening. You don't know what terrain's going to be there. All you know is you have an objective to go forward, and as you go forward, the terrain, you might find a building over that hill. You might find a river. A river might show up right in front of you. You have to try to ford the river to get across it. You might find wire or minefields. There's lots of different things, but the chaos of it reminds me of what it must feel like to be in this situation. I mean, you just don't really know. You can't control your men so detailed as other games, but you still it's hard to explain. It's just a fun game. I think this is why it's got such staying power on the top 10 list. If people still talk about it, there's a big push to get it reprinted, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. I don't know if the guy who owns the rights to the game or what's going on. I just don't know that Multi-Man Publishing has no plans to publish this anytime soon, at least according to what I've read, and that the rights to the game is the issue. So pick up your copy on eBay, or if you see a copy in a thrift store, snatch it up, trade for a copy. And then once you have a copy, I would take it to the next level. I would make these redesigned cards in the counters. They're just pretty, they're easier to use, and you won't regret it. So this is up front.